Two governors.
I'll have them probably.
It's about 24 hours. I only read that.
And if we do,
I'm thinking we're going to go roll. Okay, if we could prepare for the meeting, I want to tell the people outside there's plenty of seating in the auditorium. If you'd like to come inside the room, we're certainly welcome you. I'm going to call this regular session of the Greenville City Council to order at I don't know what time it is, but let the record reflect that all the council members are here and certain staff are here, and we certainly welcome all of you to the meeting. I would like, based on that, I'd like to call Preaching Minister Jimmy Hyde to offer the invocation. Please stand.
Let's pray together. Dear God, we are so grateful to you for all of the many blessings that you give us here in this wonderful city. We thank you for the leaders that we have, for our mayor and all the council people and city managers and secretaries and so many other people who perform vital leadership for our city that drive direction and get things improved and overcome challenges. Father, we pray for your blessing on them, that you'd give them wisdom and give them strength, give them courage, give them all the things that they need, Father, patience and peace and all of the things that we need, Father, in leadership. For this meeting, we pray that you would be here and your presence would be felt, that be a productive meeting to get things done that would bless this city and bless our people. Father, we pray for all of us as citizens here that we would seek to accomplish your will, to do good, and to be a blessing to one another and to the surrounding area, to be the best people that we can be, to glorify you. Bless this meeting and bless our city. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a presentation tonight, and I'd like for Casey Smith to please come forward. She is with Authorize here in Greenville, and we welcome you.
Thank you for having us.
And we, the mayor and the city council of Greenville, Texas, do hereby acknowledge August 18th through the 14th as National Health Center Week. Whereas the health centers serve as the nation's safety net to assist keeping communities healthy and productive, and Authorize provides several communities with accessible and dependable care. And whereas community health centers deliver high quality, cost effective, and accessible primary care to all individuals, regardless of insurance status or ability to pay. And whereas the health centers remain committed to preserving and expanding access to the communities they serve, ensuring that the promise of coverage is translated into the reality of care. And now, therefore, we hereby recognize America's health centers, dedicated staff, board members, and all those responsible for the continued success and growth of these community health centers. In testimony whereof, witness my hand this 27th day of July, 2021.
Thank
you
you
very much.
so much.
Yes. Would you like to say anything?
Well, I was just going to say thank you to you, Mr. Mayor, and to the council. Our leadership team would normally be here for this since Greenville is our home base, but we have our board meeting tonight, so that's where they are. But we appreciate this, and I like that y'all shortened it a little bit because Judge Stovall this morning had to read the whole thing. So, can I grab a picture? Is that okay? That's
sure.
That makes it look like I've done my job. Like.
Here, I'll take the selfie if they want to.
Thank you so much.
You want to get
want
in the
the
back?
Oh, sure. Whatever works
You
for
want
y'all.
to get up here? How
I
about this?
appreciate y'all
That'd be
doing
okay?
this. This is.
Well, probably behind there because there's not enough room here.
Okay.
Like behind the chairs. Y'all want to stand up and bunch in, the council?
Thank y'all.
That's gonna be pretty tough, really.
I'll just do whatever y'all tell me to do.
The best room for pictures.
Can you get?
Yes. I'm not afraid to that. We can just make it,
Then
it's
I'm gonna move
fine.
you real quick.
Do you have Tim in there too? You got Tim?
Yes.
I mean Ben, I meant Ben.
All right, I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you again, Mayor.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, if you know, there are 2 notices in your agenda, citizens to be heard and public testimony. Citizens to be heard applies to any item that is not on the agenda tonight. And public testimony applies to all items on the agenda following item 7. So are there citizens to be heard? If you'd like to comment, if you'd like to comment or speak on any of these issues, you need to fill out a citizen's comment card and present it to the city secretary.
Okay, John Clark?
John Clark, 8705 Wesley Street, Greenville. I'd ask if I can barely hear, of course I don't hear very well, too many jet engines, but I can barely hear Dr. Ransom speaking, so if you folks could speak up during this meeting for those of us who are inclined to be a little deaf, why I would certainly appreciate it.
I didn't have my speaker, I didn't have my sound, I'm very sorry.
Anyway, as far as the fire station deal is of some great interest to me. Some of you may or may not know I cook breakfast almost every morning for 10 years for the firemen over at Station 3. That's the reason many of them are fat. And anyway, when we talk about buildings that are falling into disrepair and derelict and whatever, then I've got to ask, who allowed them to get that way? You know, you don't let your home fall like that. And people could say about life expectancy of a building. You know, I worked in Turkey off and on for 5 years. St. Sophia is 600 years old and it's still in good shape. So I'm concerned that over the years that we have continued this pattern of building something or buying something or acquiring something and then letting it rot to the ground. And I think we need to be especially cognizant of this on the investment of the type we're talking about there. And as far as training, firemen need training. You know, I know all those mornings over there with them going out on runs and things, but I think at the time about 80% of the calls that they're on were vehicular accidents, so maybe they need to train out here at the Super Bowl and drive those wrecked cars and stuff, and they won't cost them anything, so we might try that. But anyway, that's the main thrust of my appearance here is that let's change the way that we do things around Greenville. If we don't need something, let's don't buy it. And if we're going to buy something, let's take care of it. Don't let it fall. The Citizens Bank building, I can stand here and I can give you 15 examples of things that we have gotten that we literally let fall down around our heels. And like the swimming pools, I've been paying taxes here for 60 years. I've been in business here for 47 years. I've seen us fill in 3 swimming pools since I've been here. The old natatorium, the one they built out in College Hill Addition, and then now the other one. So we need to change the way we do business, and we need to hold these contractors accountable. It's like the story of Traders Road and Roy Warren Parkway and all these other things. We keep having to pay for these things 2 and 3 times. So this council has a golden opportunity to change the way things are done. Look at if you got to hire somebody to go out there and look at something. Just when Fire Station 3 was being built, I went out there 3 times a week, watch it, saw terrible things going on. Contacted city staff, one in particular, and he indicated to me that I needed to run my business out there and he'd take care of that. And of course, that thing was a travesty. Fire Station 1, what another travesty. $1.3 million for a 2,700 square foot metal building, which is of substandard construction, and it's sitting on a time bomb foundation. So let's do things better. Thanks.
Thank
Jana
you,
Rose.
Mr. Clerk. Who is it?
Jana Rose.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Jana Rose, and I live at 2304 Park Street. And I'm here this evening to complain about my trash. But before I do, I want to thank you for being here and acknowledging that it's a big problem. I was here earlier and listened to Waste Connection's statement about what their issues are and what they're going to do to try to fix it. And to be honest with you, I'm not convinced. I know you suggested the last 60 days are what's important, but we've been having problems for 5 to 6 months. Until recently, in this last month, I didn't keep track of it, but I have a call log. And for your records, I'll let you know I've made 22 calls, 2 visits to Juice in particular, 10 calls to Juice, 5 to my city manager, which they seem to be able to take care of business the best, and 7 to Waste Connections, and no return phone calls at all from Waste Connections. I think the biggest issue I have is the lack of responsibility that anyone is really wanting to take for it. When the calls first began, I would call Juice, and they would give me the phone number to Waste Connections. And I would call Waste Connections, and they would give me the phone number to Juice. There was no in between. Now, Juice is taking more responsibility at the moment, and my trash has been picked up this last week. But from, June the 1st until July the 15th, my trash was picked up 3 times. None on days that it was actually scheduled to be picked up. Now, my city council representative has been very active in this, as well as some other representatives on the council, and I do appreciate it. But I don't see how his suggestions are actually going to fix the problem. I know the city does have some pull for when they can find Waste Connections for not picking up the trash. I view the city as a business, and you've subcontracted a labor, and I think it's your responsibility to make sure that it's getting picked up. If that means getting city workers with their trucks to pick it up, I think that's better than having me haul my trash to the dump. That's pretty much all that I have to say. I am also concerned that Greenville is growing, and with Waste Connections, I ask you to consider how they're going to be able to keep up with Greenville's growth. There are not a lot of employees at the moment, so possibly hiring another company to help split the labor could be a good solution. The arm trucks, I don't believe are. And I think if you follow the trucks around and watch what's happening, you will probably agree. And that is all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Any others?
Wayne Morris.
Wayne Morris, 5600 Vale Street, Greenville. Just real quick, I knew John was old, but he mentioned the St. Sophia Mosque. And I visited Turkey and actually was stationed there several times real quick, but when they always laid the cornerstone, the mason puts his initials in it, and see it was JC.
That's exactly right.
Anyway, good evening. Just real quickly, briefly on streets, we're making good headway in that. My 2 concerns are, one of them I mentioned in the press last week, and he's looking into it, is 18-wheeler traffic on Stonewall Street, south of Joe Ramsey. I don't know if it was before, never noticed it during construction or whatever, but there used to be signs up, no heavy truck traffic except for local deliveries. Since Stonewall is open back up, I've personally observed now a total of 9 18-wheelers going down there. They're not hauling sod for local delivery or anything like that. These are freight rigs. I don't know if it's due to, reclassification of Stonewall or what, but we've got a brand new street. We've got an elementary school. We've got a lot of people out there to walk in the mornings, evenings, afternoons. School's fixing to start again. We don't need 18-wheelers on Stonewall. Second item, and just curiosity, and I did get a call on it, asking if I knew anything about it. Tricon, who's currently working on Sale Street, a lot of their big trucks are coming down the recently refurbished, brand new spanking overlaid Terrell Road. And I just hope somebody from the city is monitoring that to ensure that any damage that is incurred with their heavy dump trucks coming down, that they're held responsible, and that street that was just redone 120 days ago isn't left in the state that it was previously in. So somebody needs to keep an eye on that. That's all I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Are there any others?
James Evans.
James Evans, 6410 Buena Vista Drive, Greenville, Texas, 75402. I want to piggyback a little bit off what the lady from Park Street said a minute ago and just offer some constructive criticism about response to our tax-paying citizens. We've got a good friend, Craig Smith, that experienced a need in his neighborhood back the weekend of Valentine's. It was 2021, by the way. And he made an attempt about 4 or 5 weeks ago, or 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago, to contact the department. And then I ran into him a week ago last Saturday. And the statement was, he said, I'm not getting any response. All he asked for was a response to get back to him. And there was none. And I said, that's real simple. I said, they've got great response record in the city of Greenville. And same thing for Juice. And I said, send an email. It's on the website, real easy, to your city manager and to the council. And he did that. He came back to me several days later, still didn't have a response. And I said, probably they're busy, no big problem, send it to me and I'll send it down. And so he sent it to me that day, and that was on July the 21st, and I sent it down with my name, and it was, the request was to respond to him. And again, today, I did get a call from his council member, or didn't get a call, I got an email this afternoon from the council member and said they were looking at it. He got a CC of it. What I'm saying is this, for your own sake, PR-wise, when a request comes in, that's one thing I was big about in the school district, myself and the staff. And the school district was that way with all of the people. We dealt with people too, just like y'all. I didn't leave during the day, at the end of that day, until I had at least said I'm looking into it. Just acknowledge it, received or something. Let people know that you're looking at it and working on it. They don't all expect, Craig Smith didn't expect a specific time and date to get this done. He wanted a response, that it had been received and it was in the queue. That's all I've got to say on that. And again, I'd appreciate it still if city management, I appreciate the council member that sent me the email and sent Craig the email today, but I would appreciate it if some employee would also contact Craig Smith. You've got his email. If you can't reach him, call me. I've got email, phone, and everything for him. I think that'd go a long way to help PR in the town. And again, from what the lady just said from Park Street, I'm not the only one that's concerned about that, trying to help y'all out. Got a minute and 26 seconds, so I'm gonna jump in on one thing. When I saw the pictures, and I'm not saying plus or minus, this is not about the fire administration building. It's about the maintenance issue. That looked like, all I've dealt with my whole life is maintenance of a building. Even though I was in charge of scores, the maintenance was mine. My evaluation for 40-something years had a section on it, building maintenance. And we turned in work orders. We didn't require, and I told the chief just a second ago, I didn't expect them to fix those things, but that missing tile, that's a quick fix some way. Even though that board behind it's missing, you can patch things like that. That door that had the gap below the foundation, that door is ratty. That door needs to be pulled off and a new door. You can get them out here at Home Depot or Lowe's, either one, put up there. We're not doing maintenance on our structures, and there again, that has been a problem with Greenville. A lot of different entities don't take care of what we build. I ask you to please start doing that and put that as a high priority this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Are there any others?
Maryville Crew.
All right, so this is my first time speaking here and many places, so I have it on here. Sorry, I'm not going to make a lot of eye contact, but it's basically the same concern with Waste Connection, so I'll try to paraphrase. Muriel Curve, 3 Oak Village Road, Greenville, Texas, 75402. been a resident and educator in Greenville for 7 years and have been a homeowner for 6. I've only been, okay, so I explained all that. So I've come here tonight in hopes to bring some awareness to a policy with Waste Connections that has recently become strictly enforced. 3 Tuesdays ago, they skipped my bin. I called customer service to inform them of, to inquire further. So the first time I called, it was a 17-minute wait and they hung up. And then the second time I called, it was about 10 minutes, and it was a really nice lady who informed me. We kind of troubleshot because I wasn't sure why they skipped the bin. And then she realized it was because it was cracked open a little. So she informed me of that strictly enforced policy that just recently had become more strictly enforced. She also offered to call dispatch in hopes that they would come around before Friday's pickup. When I explained to her that the trash pileup would only get worse, this is not a solution, especially all the health concerns regarding trash in people's homes. I even reached out to, my social media outlets, my neighborhood's page. A lot of people started commenting, saying that they've had issues too. Some kind of, dovetailed in other directions, but I want to kind of keep it clear about just the pickup is the main issue, I think, because that creates so much health problems, I think, and we're always trying to overcome that here right now. I even was able to talk to the driver directly that Friday. He was really nice. He was able to pick up that excess trash, totally fine with it, but I think it's just nobody's ever there kind of just waiting. They're usually at work when all this happens. So, but when you're speaking to people directly, I think, and you're communicating it, I think it helps. But, it's just that then today, because I had a little bit of time because I'm an educator, and so I called the kids in the car and we actually found some bins that were skipped in neighborhoods still. Not in mine, but in others too. So it is still happening, and obviously here we have, other residents that are concerned. So a lady in Fate had reached out to her council members hoping that that could happen here too. They were able to meet with Waste Connections and discuss maybe lightening the policy on skipping those trash bins that are slightly full, if that's even possible. So I hope you guys can do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll move to item 6A, consideration and action of an ordinance approving a zone change from general retail to single family 3 on property located on 1400 Waverly Street, Jackson Run Phase. Steve, you're there.
Yes, sir. This would be the final phase of Jackson's Run. It's going to be called Jackson's Run North. I wish that picture was inverted, but it's not. But if you look to the left, those are brand new streets that are currently built and are houses under construction right now. This one would, we're getting there. See, that made sense to me the way it was, but it probably won't to everybody else. Okay, so you can see it's gonna tie into these streets that are built now, and like I say, we got houses under construction here now. It will have another outlet that will go out 69 right next to the vehicle dealership that's there now. It won't be very wide. It'll just be an entrance, and there'll be a nice landscape piece right here in front. This will be some kind of park or maybe detention pond. I'm not sure about that yet. Currently, part of this property is zoned, part of it right here is zoned single family. The rest of this is all general retail up in here. If most of you will think about if you've ever looked there, this is kind of a hill that goes down. So obviously I hadn't had a lot of interest in general retail here in years. So what we're proposing is to change the zoning for this piece right in here to single family 3, which would match the rest of Jackson's Run. We still leave the general retail up on the front. I can't imagine anybody wanting to be much deeper than that with that hill there, the way you'd have to look over it. You can see most of the businesses here, that's about the depth they are anyway. So I sent out 11 notices to property owners. I didn't get any back either for or against it. I took it to council last Monday night, and the vote was 4-1 to
P&Z.
Yes, I'm sorry. P&Z to recommend approval of it. I believe there's 57 lots here. It'll just be a continuation and finish out Jackson Run. Personally, I'm glad to see something going on with that property out there. We've looked at a lot of it. If you get much farther to the west, then you get in the floodplain, so looks like a pretty good deal. You know, I know people would like to see bigger homes, but what we're building right here is gonna match what is already in Jackson's run. It wouldn't make sense to build great big houses in front of the other. It just wouldn't make sense, so. From a staff level, I recommend that we go ahead and do this too and get it finished out. Be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
Just real quick, Steve.
Yes.
The one no vote on P and Z, was there any reason?
Smaller homes.
Smaller homes.
And P and Z, I mean, you get that a lot with P and Z. They don't get the gist of the smaller homes. And it's just a smaller home. The lots aren't that much smaller when you get down to it. As far as density goes, it's not high density. It's medium density, just like an SF2 is, so.
And this replating will be we're required to pay the parkland fees to the ordinance.
Yep, yes. Yeah, and their engineer's here tonight to speak about it too, so. Yes, this one will have to get the park fees up. When they file the final plat is when that would be gotten. And then each home that's built in there is about another $500 park fee.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll open the public hearing. So is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to this replating? Anyone here to speak in favor of it? If not, I'll close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the council?
Move to approve?
I second.
There's a motion to second. All in favor, please vote. Please vote. And it passes unanimously. The next item 7A, is consideration and action of an ordinance authorizing a unit price contract with several construction companies to provide construction services related to the 2021 $50 million street bond. And I'd like to just talk about this for a minute and allay, I hope, perhaps some of our citizens' concerns. The Transportation Committee started working on this bond long before the winter storm or the torrential rains that we had that just degraded our streets so much, accelerated degradation of our streets the last, 6 months or so. And we understand that we need help and that it's on the way. And we're, with this tonight, we're going to be approving some additional funds for utility cuts and potholes, as well as construction contracts for redoing our connector streets. So we understand and we're working towards solutions.
Yes, sir. Just as you said, we put it out to bid under a unit price contract. We didn't bid a set quantity, we didn't bid a set street. We said these are the unit prices of concrete pipe, drainage pipe we need. Unit prices for storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water. And by doing this gives us the ability to kind of pick and choose. I mean, I can have a utility contractor doing the water and sewer, and I can have a road contractor coming right behind them to do the other work. It gives us that flexibility, but it also locks in our prices for 2 years. So they know this is a 2-year contract to get this work done. We got good responses for it. I think we have about 7 contractors that are willing to go to work. They've all kind of geared up for it. They're ready to go to work, literally tomorrow. So I think this is a very good plan to do the work we want it done in this 2-year period. Like I said, we've already got consultants doing the design work we need done. We've got a lot of roads that we can start on immediately that need, just milling and overlay. We got text bit with the asphalt price. We got one contractor that his asphalt price includes milling. So we've got good prices for this. They're locked in, and I would, recommend the council to approve these contracts so we can get started on this bond issue. This is a great start that we needed to get streets in Greenville where they need to be.
Are there any questions? Thank you.
Just one, and this was a question that came from one of my constituents. In the bids, there's a statement or a paragraph that says the quantities of the work to be done at unit price and materials to be furnished may be increased or diminished based on the need. So basically what we're saying is the contracts we're doing, if a pothole doesn't need as much material as we thought, we can adjust the pricing accordingly instead of putting set price to go fix a hole.
Exactly, and what this is, it's fair to us and fair to the contractor. We go in there and say, okay, we got, you put 322 feet of storm drain, that's what you get paid for. We may have estimated 400 feet, we may have estimated 380 or whatever, but they get paid for exactly what they put in the ground.
Correct. That's how I read it. I'm glad that's how I explained it properly. Thank you.
I've got one question. Are these, take for example, a mill and overlay street, are you able to start on that before we sell these bonds on September the 14th?
Absolutely, if y'all give us the go-ahead, we could, like I said, we could start tomorrow.
Okay. Good. I wasn't sure about that. Any other questions? Okay, what is the pleasure of the council?
Well, I'll make a motion to
Any public
No, there's not.
No, is there any public testimony?
Not until 8C.
Okay. No public testimony. What is the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Please vote. Mr. Collins, I believe he voted affirmatively. Is that correct?
Hands up.
Okay, so it passes unanimously. Moving on to item 7B, consideration and action of an ordinance authorizing the transfer of funds for street improvements. Press.
Yes, sir. We recently had a meeting with the Transportation Committee, and we had some funds left over in several of our older SIP projects. And upon talking with the Transportation Committee, it was recommended that we aggregate all these monies together and go ahead and add that to the 2021 SIP, which we've now delegated out for street repairs. And so what this is that action authorizing that budget transfer out of the older SIPs that we had, little mud pockets of money here and there, into one SIP to give us the ability to fix all the streets that we talked about earlier, all the utility cuts, the bigger potholes, to get all those fixed.
Any questions? What's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion second, please vote.
Ben asked me to remind you to talk into your mics and make sure your red button is on.
The mics are not working at all.
Test.
It's just a big hum. At this point, the mic,
Test, it's not working.
it's over there, and it's like there's a bad. So if you can speak up, the microphone is being heard through the microphone on the laptop and on those cameras, because the PA system is cut.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for item 7B. Please vote if you haven't already, and it passes unanimously. Item 7C, ordinance authorizing emergency purchase of a suction header pipe replacement from Machining and Valve Automation Services LLC for a fixed price of $268,988. Press.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, at the water plant, we had bought 2 new high service pumps, and these pumps take the water out of the clear well storage tank and pump them into our distribution system. We have 5 high service pumps. We were replacing 2 of them. Those pumps pump out of one suction line where all the clear wells come together and then pump into one line. That line was built in the 50s. It's the old RCCP, which is steel pipe. And what they did, they welded a flange onto it and then hooked the pump suction to that. Well, after 50 years of service, there's no pipe left. We discovered that when we went to put the valve on, that the whole thing moved. Now, we're pumping, a lot of pressure and a lot of water through these things. So we started looking at it, and it's one continuous pipe in there. If that pipe breaks, and we've been nursing it along, if it breaks, we don't pump water. So we've been working very hard. We've got all the material lined up, everything we need to make this repair. We've already worked out a bypass situation so we can keep pumping water while we make this repair. But this is very critical to the water plant staying in operation.
Are there any questions? Chris? What is the pleasure of the council?
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion to second, please vote. And it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 8A, consideration and take action on an ordinance providing for the issuance of City of Greenville general obligation bonds and certificates series 2021 in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $4.5 million in bonds for the Roy Warren extension, $550 million in bonds for street repairs, $17,160,000 for public safety projects, $50 million for certificates for raw water line replacement, and I guess I need to include in that the $321,000 for Austin Park. And do I need to read the rest of this? Levying a tax and payment thereof. Do I need to read the rest of this or not?
No.
You don't need to read the rest of it.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if I can or not.
You can just say item 8A on the agenda.
I only got to the third grade, so. Okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you, Mayor and Council. Those of you who are in the audience who were here during the work session, this is going to be moving forward basically with the bonds that all of the bonds and COs that Mayor just mentioned. And Daniel, I don't know is there something that we need to do to officially add in that for $121,000 to this, since that was not originally part of this?
Oh, I'm not sure. Rob was, I think, contacted on that.
I'll let Rob answer that. But if you guys have any questions about these issues or what is going to happen, we have both Stephen, our financial advisor, as well as Rob, who is our bond counsel here, and they can answer any questions about that.
Okay.
I think I can clear that up. I'm Rob Collins with Bracewell, bond counsel of the city. In your packet, you had a resolution that authorized the publication of a notice of intent before you can issue the COs that Stephen talked about in the work session. We have to publish notice twice in the newspaper. The first one will be this Thursday, and it has several items there. A list of the projects that the city intends to undertake, not to exceed the amount for the issuance of the total amount of the bonds, and then a few other informational items in there, and tells the public that this will be considered on September 14th in front of the regular city council meeting. So with that, Mayor, the only item that would change from the work session packet for 8B is 8A, I guess. 8A is the addition of that $325,000 for the new park, and that is in. I sent Summer and Talia a copy with that language in it that has that additional $325,000 in it, and so that's what you'd be voting on if the council decides to add that project to the list of projects.
Okay. So, Steve, would you like to speak about this briefly?
Yeah, I can briefly go through this. So the actual item for tonight, if you can pull up our, is the actual item that you're doing tonight is authorizing the publication in the newspaper for $67,300,000 in tax and revenue certificates of obligation. $50 million of it will be for the water line from from Lake Tawakoni to the city, replacement line. $321,000 for Austin Park update. $8 million for a public safety radio infrastructure upgrade. $8.5 million for a multi-use facility for the fire department and others, $500,000 for contingency. In addition to that, when we sell these on September the 14th, we will also be selling $54,500,000 of the voted GO bonds for the street repairs that were voted for the taxpayers. And I can go through this in any detail, but we don't expect a tax rate increase on any of this because your debt service is going down and your rates are going up. And Mayor, I can go through this in more detail, or if you have any questions, we can answer.
Are there any
those.
questions for Steve? Rob, do you have something more for us?
I'm just sorry, Stephen referenced the earlier number, he added the project in, but the amount, not just the amount, would be $67,625,000. So I just wanted to make that clear. The project was included, but that's the number you'd be approving if you add the park project.
It says 67 million.
625. 67,625,625.
All the projects.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
That's everything.
Thank you guys for being here tonight. We certainly appreciate it. I just want to say, talk just briefly, although nobody's really here to listen, but the water situation in 2008 and 2013, we experienced, our water supply was threatened by a drought that I think Lake Milwaukee was over 14 feet low. And it was nice. I was listening to PBS radio at the time, and there was a noted climatologist that righteously proclaimed the lakes of Pewaukee, or the lakes of North Texas, will never ever be full again. And thankfully he said that because in about 2 weeks the water was going over the spillway. So we're happy about that. But I want to say that we studied this some before our water committee, comprised of myself and Al and Tim, and I want to recognize Link Linkenauger here. He's worked with the Sabine River Authority for many, many years. I don't know how many. And I've remarked to people that I think he knows more about water supply in North Texas and all these different water districts than anybody in North Texas. And he was very instrumental in guiding us and helping us with this, as Press was, and Summer and her staff. But we owe Link a debt of gratitude for everything he did. And I don't know if you'd like to come up and say anything, Link. He was there every time we needed him. He could answer every question about Sabine River Authority and what we investigated other sources of water, and finally settled on Lake Pewaukee being our primary source, and this will secure our water supply for a number of years. So, Link, would you like to come up and say anything? We have another project coming for him. We focused mainly on just our raw water supply, but in the future we're going to look at water treatment and our relationships with the people that we sell water to, and various other aspects. So,
thank you, Mr. Mayor. One polite correction: it is Sabine River Authority.
Okay. Sorry.
Not the Sabine. That's a terminology from the old folks. But
okay.
You're not old enough to say that.
Okay. Yes, I am.
But no, we spent 3.5 years looking at different options. Studied 3 different options for sure, and finally settled on the current option for the raw water line from Pewaukee and to stay with Sabine River Authority. We were looking at doing a water swap with North Texas Municipal Water District. For various reasons, we kind of backed off of that and went back with Sabine River Authority, which they're certainly fine with. I talked to them today. Gave them a rundown on what our project was and what we were going to do. They're happy with that, and we're looking at maybe working out some other things with Sabine River Authority to handle our treated water situation. So anyway, it's continuous. We'll keep on working on it.
Well, thank you very much. And this raw water line will be a 36-inch line, and it will be underground essentially.
We're essentially going to parallel the existing line.
Right.
What we're putting in is was known as a 36-inch PVC fusible pipe where it won't have any joints. The joints are actually fused together, so we'll have one continuous pipe from Lake Tawakoni to our city reservoirs. The capacity of the 36-inch is over at the pressures we're pumping at is over 25 million gallons a day. So it'll serve us well for into the future.
And it is bored underground.
Parts of it can be bored, it can be open cut, whatever the contractor decides is the best way to put it in, we have that option too.
Okay. Tim, would you like to say anything? You worked hard on the committee.
I think that the aging system we have now definitely needs replacing, and the work that was put into this before even I was a part of the subcommittee was quite a bit of work. So I appreciate all that, and I just think it's something that the city moving forward definitely needs to move forward with.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd just like to say that the water line we're replacing was put in the 50s. It is at the end of its useful life. It's something that needs to be done. I know this item sounds like a lot of money when you combined all the bonds we're selling. The citizens have demanded we fix the roads. We've talked about aging infrastructure since I came to town in 2012. And this council and Summer and her team have finally, we've got to the point that we can do all of this without any tax increases. We may see a small water rate increase, but it's time that if we don't reinvest in our community, then how can we expect any other business to look at us and come in and make an investment? So I really support this.
So just to let you know, that the people know, that water line is 20 miles long. So, I mean, it's quite an endeavor to do that.
And I think to Mr. Atkins' point, you say it breaks now 3 or 4 times a year, and each break costs us $25,000 to $40,000 or $25,000 to $30,000 at least.
Some of them up 50 and 60,000, depending on the location.
So it's really not an option.
I want to add one thing in there so everybody can sleep better. The drought we had, the last drought, Lake Tawakoni was down 12.5 feet, and Greenville's intake was high and dry. So Greenville had to get portable pumps and run temporary lines out to some deeper water. The plan now is we have discovered there is a channel that runs, starts about 800 feet from the pump station, and Press and I went with the game warden last Friday with all his sonar equipment on there and verified that that channel is there. At 800 feet distance, there's 21 feet of water. If you go out a little further, it's 27 feet of water. So with this project, we'll never have to worry about a drought again, I don't think.
Hope not.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any public comment on this issue? Comment on it? If not, what is the pleasure of the, is there any discussion on that, members of the council? If not, what is the pleasure of the council regarding this resolution, matter 688?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second. Okay. Please vote. Help on this. Link, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We'll see you back here, though. You're not going to quit now. Okay, the next item is item 8B, consideration and action on the resolution setting August 24th. We can talk about it. Please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is just our routine that we go through every year around budget time. Basically, this agenda item will set August 24th, 2021 and September 14th, 2021 as the public hearing dates for the fiscal year 21-22 budget. So all this is doing is designating those dates for the public hearings.
Is there any public testimony? If not, what is the pleasure of the council?
Move to approve.
I second.
Please vote.
And this will be setting the public hearing date for the proposed tax rate as September 14th, 2021. Again, this is not proposing a tax rate right now. This is just setting the public hearing date for the tax rate.
Okay. Is there any public testimony?
Yes,
No?
James Evans.
James Evans, 6410 Buena Vista Drive, Greenville, Texas, 75402, still the same. A couple of things. The truth in advertising, I want to be sure that we're stressing that. Lewis, truth in advertising. As we talk about, and that's advertising, we're going to drop the tax rate so many cents. I've heard that repeatedly in all these work sessions and whatever. Be sure we go back. It used to be the effective tax rate. That was the rate that it would be with no increase in revenue. And that number always usually goes down with a good economy because we're building new structures, new tax base. We need to also be mentioning, tell the public what the effective tax rate is, and right now the new term for that is no new revenue tax rate. That's a simple term, no new revenue tax rate. I like when we talk about how many cents less the tax rate will be for 21, 22, to know what that no new revenue tax rate would be. The other thing is the statement I keep hearing, and this is not fussing, I just want clarification to the public, no tax rate increase. If you look at it from the number, the cents that we're going to be charging, that would be true. But the no tax rate, it was set to go way down in 2022, our tax rate. It was going to take a massive dive, as the colorful charts tonight have shown. The citizens of this town are going to experience a massive decrease. So what we're doing, we're leveling it out back to where it was. There is a tax increase from where it was going to be in 2022, 21, 22, to what we're projecting right now. It is going to be an increase in taxes, pretty sizable. But again, all I want to do is just inform the public, truth in advertising all the way through. That's what I'd like to see. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
What's the pleasure of the council regarding this item?
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, please vote. Moving on to item 8D, consideration action of a resolution establishing the criteria for redistricting of political boundaries. And the council received some information on this late this afternoon. I really didn't have time to review that information. I doubt that many of you did, particularly the ones that had jobs. So I'm going to postpone this until, I believe, the last meeting in August, which would be August 20, tell me what, Carol, 24th? Okay, 24th. Item 8E, consideration and action on a resolution appointing members to Citizen Advisory Committee to assist Greenville City Council on redistricting the city's Greenville's political boundaries. And on this item, I feel that some of us only learned about this in the last 3 or 4 days. I think possibly one council member has decided who his selection would be. But please take this as a placeholder, and we will to pick someone that you'd like to appoint to this advisory committee, and we'll do that at the meeting on August the 24th also. So I'm going to postpone both of these items. So we'll move right on to the consent calendar. Item 9, would you please present the consent calendar for us, please?
City Council meeting minutes from July 13th. Resolution approving a multi-year agreement for the temporary closure of a segment of state right-of-way for the Bob Wills Fiddle Festival. Resolution approving a bid received for tax resale property at 4227 O'Neill Street. Resolution rescinding Resolution 1987 and approving a bid received for 1801 Rosemary. Ordinance authorizing a professional services agreement or professional engineering agreement with Dynamic Engineering for the design of Traders Road. Ordinance authorizing Pierce Pump to provide and install mechanical, electrical, and controls equipment for Lake Tawakoni raw water line pump. And an ordinance authorizing Moody Brothers to increase the feed rate of the chlorination system at the water treatment plant.
Okay. Is there any public testimony regarding any of these items? No, there is not. Having said that, what is the pleasure of the council regarding the consent calendar?
I make a motion to accept the consent calendar as read.
I second.
Motion second, please vote. City council reports. I made a mistake when I appointed some of the subcommittees for this, for our community. I appointed Al Atkins to the airport committee. He had previously served on the litigation committee. I didn't realize at the time, I didn't remember at the time, he had told me that he had a conflict of interest in serving on the airport committee. So I've asked that Tim, who serves on the litigation committee, that Al and Tim swap those spots, and I've spoken with Tim about it, and he's okay, and I think Al would like to do that, so I'm just announcing that change in the subcommittee tonight. Okay, so we'll move right on to city council discussion of proposed agenda items. Are there any items to bring forward to the council? And I just want to ask, any suggestions we have about the budget can be made when you present the budget to us this next time.
Or prior to.
Or prior to, even
Yeah, you can either
like
call me,
tomorrow or
email me,
next.
come see me, yeah.
Okay.
Certainly.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Proposals, and we'll see how they fit in, sure.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Are there any proposed agenda items? If there are none, you have before you the Board and Commission minutes, the Planning and Zoning Commission minutes, and the Greenville Board of Development minutes. If there are no questions on those, then we'll move to executive session under section 551.071, paragraphs 1 and 2. And for those present, we do not anticipate a vote coming out of this executive session. Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate it. And thank you for participating in your city government.
Oh, and I want to thank you for paying me a visit. I didn't get here in time tonight to speak on that, because I think the public needs to know that you're not being neglected. I can't speak. Thank you. But anyway, thank you so much for paying me a visit. Carol, thank you so much.
I appreciate that, but maybe you ought to wait until we get your street fixed.
Well, if you don't, I'll be back. Don't worry, I'll be back. But I just want to thank you though anyway for coming. I do.
Okay, thank you.
See you, Slick. What you say, they went by quick?
No, the clickers were working.
First time, huh?
What do we do?
It's either like.
I don't know, maybe I should go back to the wire.
I did.
Carol, you just dropped a piece of paper.
Oh, this was Joe Clark said he's getting $1,000. It's an IOU for the.
Are you going to follow us in, Ben? You can't hear. We're going to bring you in there.
They won't forget, I promise.
Mr. Mayor, I've gotten like several comments in the chat requesting that we go to the commission board of commission meeting. You are well. And we talked about
Thank you for your
support. Getting the city.
I wish
go to those boards.
I don't know how many of them.
Y'all done?
We're done, we're not gonna vote.
Because, I'm available.
Okay.
All right, sir. There's transmitter number 1. The plug for it is down here. It's plugged in down there. we had to do some sort of.
Right.
Yes.
So I still gotta figure out
Leave it on that
what's
store
going on
website.
there.
Listen,
What are we looking
you
for?
call me.
Yes.
Get my number from her if you don't already have it. You call me, I'll come out here and we'll make sure that all this, with the, if you need extra hands, I will be here.
I'll get stuff signed.
Hey, it helps me too. I get paid in the long run, right?
I mean, all those cables for the microphones and stuff run in here. So we just unplug them all, label them, unplug them all.
Right.
Take that thing out.
Put the new one in?
Well, we don't even have to put it in because we don't want to permanently put it in here. We wheel it in here, get those cables, put them in.
Well, technically, it's not even permanent. Because you can just unplug everything and go wherever you need to put it in.
But we'd have to take it out of the box.
But, yeah, you can unplug it.
This is your HDMI, right?
Yeah. Why did it get so cold?
We need to,
Oh my gosh.
Is it a little dark outside? Storm?
we'll need to fire those speakers.